In this video, we're going to be looking at why you should open a tax-free savings account, also known as a TFSA, and start contributing as soon as you possibly can. Now, some of the questions that we're going to be answering in this video include: what is a TFSA? Why use a TFSA? TFSA limits in terms of your contribution limits, TFSA myths, and then ending with recommendations. So let's get started. If you have any questions about index investing, ETFs, or anything else that you may see on the website or channel, don't forget to leave a comment or drop me a line and I can help get those answered. So let's start with what is a tax-free savings account. Well, the tax-free savings account was announced in 2008. It was part of the government budget. And first contributions didn't start until January of 2009. So you can see from that date that the TFSA is actually quite new to us. Now, the tax-free savings account is the best savings vehicle since the RRSP was announced in 1957. That was a long time ago. I also do believe that the tax-free savings account has many advantages that make it even better than the RRSP, and we'll see many of them as the video continues. So interest or dividend earned grow tax-free inside of a tax-free savings account. This also includes any sort of growth if you were to have a stock or ETF within your tax-free savings account. Contributions are not tax deductible, much like they would be within the RRSP. Now, within a tax-free savings account, you may withdraw money from it at any time. There are no certain penalties that are associated if you withdraw from the tax-free savings account. The money can be put back into your tax-free savings account in the following calendar year. So you don't want to necessarily put it back in that particular year. So if you end up putting, let's say, $5,000 in, but yet you take $2,500, and then before the year's out, you put that $2,500 back in that calendar year, you've put $7,500. So that's why it says the amount can be put back in the following calendar year. So let's take a look at why you would want to use a tax-free savings account. Well, the tax-free savings account is best used for retirement savings. Now, when you're saving for retirement, that really means extended long-term investing. And that's where the tax-free savings account really benefits you. When you place money in there on a yearly basis, over the course of 10 years, you're going to have a substantial amount of growth, or at least we hope that you will. And when you have that substantial growth, all of that earnings, all your earnings above the amount that you've placed into the account are going to grow tax-free. That's the major benefit there. On the flip side, the rest of this point says it also works very well for short-term savings. And that's true because you're able to actually withdraw from the account without paying any sort of penalties or fees. So looking at the second point that we have here is you don't pay tax on growth and dividends collected regardless of your income. So that's kind of one of the differences of the tax-free savings account versus an RRSP. On the RRSP, you're going to end up paying taxes based on your income, or you're going to be able to reduce your taxes based on your income and contribution. However, for the tax-free savings account, it's the same. You always place in whatever the maximum is, that's what you want to do. And it doesn't matter how much you earn within that particular year. It's a fixed amount for everyone. So you want to make sure that you invest in high growth assets, because the more that your money grows, the better off you are. Remember, you're not paying any tax for any of that. So growth is excellent. The last point there is no penalties if you need to draw money from your tax-free savings account. So if you need money for any sort of savings, or you just want to save for a rainy day and you happen to have something that you need to get, you don't have to pay any penalties if you want to pull that money out. But similar to what we talked before, you just got to be careful of how you do that, because you don't want to end up contributing that exact amount again in the same calendar year if you've already contributed your max for that year. So let's take a look at some of the contribution limits that we have within the tax-free savings account. Now, in 2009, the tax-free savings account contribution was $5,000. And that lasted all the way up until 2013, where it was different. In 2013, it was $5,500. And same with 2014. In 2015, the government actually increased this almost by a double, up to $10,000. So that was a really good year. I was really happy about that year. In 2016, I was really disappointed. You know, it went up to $10,000. A new government comes in and boom, we're back at $5,500. Okay, fine. It's still a great investment vehicle. And that's the same dollar amount that it has been at for the next few years. So if you look at the tax-free savings account total limit, if you're looking at 2018, you can have $57,500. Now remember, I have my tax-free savings account maxed every single year, and its contribution would have been that exact amount. However, that's not how much is in my account. I have much more than the $57,500. I don't know exactly. I want to say, let's say $70,000 in my tax-free savings account. I think it appeared in one of the other videos, but that is because of all the growth. It's growing exponentially every single year I have it, and that's why it's excellent for retirement savings. That's exactly how I use it. So if we look at the contribution limits here, this is only for one person, myself. I have a total contribution room of $57,500. Now, I'm married, so my wife also has $57,500. As we both bring in money, we can both end up throwing money towards each other's accounts, which is very good. Similar to the RRSP, we throw money towards each other's accounts there as well. However, when you look at the total contribution room that you have for a couple, let's say, that's over $100,000. So that's getting to some serious amounts of money that we want to be taking advantage of. So let's take a look at some of the common tax-free savings account myths. As we go through some of these myths, you'll get an understanding of what it's used for and some of the advantages of it. So the tax-free savings account is just a glorified savings account. No, the tax-free savings account is not even a savings account. Really what it is just a tax shelter. That's how you use it. What you do with the tax-free savings account is up to you. My recommendation is not to actually put cash, which is apparently what many Canadians are doing. They're just stuffing cash under it. Well, that's not going to do anything for you. Same with the GIC. GICs right now, although they're getting a little bit better, they pay out a very small amount of interest within it. So it's kind of like, to me, a brain dead investment option. I would personally recommend, here we are talking about savings. However, I got to stuff ETFs in there somehow, right? So I would highly recommend investing in ETFs and following some sort of index investment strategy. That's what you want to do with your tax-free savings account. You don't want to just have it as a savings account and throw cash into it. That's not what it's made for. The next point that we have here is a myth, of course, and it's a tax-free savings account is only for the rich. Well, this is totally not true. The tax-free savings account is for everyone. I'm not sure why a lot of people also believe this, that it's for the rich. It's a fixed amount. It doesn't matter how much money you make, and you don't even need to place in the actual capped limit. You could put in whatever you can afford. So it's really an investment vehicle that benefits all of us, and especially if we're going to use it for long-term investing. Then it doesn't matter who you are. It's going to be great. So the third point that we have here is I can't access my tax-free savings account money whenever I would need it. And it really ties into the next one there, where your TFSA must be withdrawn at a certain time. Both of these are not true, of course. You can take money out whenever you want. There's also no penalty within the tax-free savings account environment. However, it does depend on what you are investing in. If it was a GIC that was locked in for a certain time and you decide to take it out, yes, you are going to pay a penalty. But you can take the money out of your tax-free savings account at any time. You just need to remember about the contribution back that we talked about earlier in the video, where you have to do that in the next year. You don't want to go over your contribution room. So the next point that we have there is you may only invest in Canadian funds using a tax-free savings account. Also not true. So you're able to invest in whatever you want. So in my tax-free savings account, I actually have a lot of American investments there. And in my wife's tax-free savings account, we have a lot of Canadian investments. One of the biggest things is that we want to make sure we're investing, like we talked about already, in high growth items. And that's because we are able to grow money tax-free. That's why we want to be doing that. We put some of the lower earners in terms of growth and dividends and whatnot into the RRSP, because later in life we will be taxed on that when we decide to pull it out. The last point that we have here is that tax-free savings account is too difficult to understand. So why use it? Well, I don't think it's that difficult to understand. There are a few key things that you need to know about it and how to use it. We've talked a little bit about some of those things. There are more that's not necessarily covered in this video, but I don't think it will take you all that long to really learn. I think maybe 30 minutes of reading on the internet and you'll understand everything that you need to understand about the tax-free savings account. The most important thing is just get started. Most people are fearful of what they don't understand. So understand it and then use it. That's what I would recommend. Leading into the next slide here, which is what I would recommend in terms of using your tax-free savings account. So open an account as soon as you can. That's what we already said. create a goal to max your tax-free savings account contribution room. So if you haven't dropped the dollar in there and you are above the age of 18 in 2009, you can contribute the full $57,500 of room. And I would highly recommend that you do what you need to do to get there as fast as you can, of course, right? It's only natural. You want to contribute yearly. So every single year, what I do, January, within the first week or two, I'm putting in whatever that yearly cap is. And I've been doing that now since the 2009 timeframe. Invest in high growth ETFs within your tax-free savings account. Here we are again. We can't make a video without talking about the ETFs. You want to make sure that you're investing in something that's going to be high growth. Don't get yourself stuck in putting just cash in there or investing in GICs. Use it for something that can grow in terms of high growth. If your idea of high growth is only a few percent, then so be it. Whatever your high growth earner is, place it into your tax-free savings account. Use your tax-free savings account as a retirement investment vehicle. I know a lot of people will say that the tax-free savings account is very good for short term, but actually it really hits home when you use it for long-term investing. Where would you use long-term investing? For retirement. And the last point that we have here is if you must withdraw money, start with your tax-free savings account first. And this, of course, is dependent on your income, if you have money sitting inside an RRSP. However, generally speaking, there are only a few times that you'd ever want to withdraw from a registered retirement savings plan. However, when you consider the tax-free savings account, you can withdraw from it whenever you want, and you're not going to be penalized. So if you must withdraw money, start with that first. If you're looking for more videos on other money topics that complement investing, or ETFs or index investing, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.